Hello, San Francisco, and welcome once again to the Angelic Troublemakers. I'm your host, Alan Jones, and on today's program, if I can get it to come up, deflated but not defeated. Of course, I'm talking about my ballot measure, Proposition I. We had the vote this past Tuesday, June 5th, and I went down to defeat. Proposition I got 65,000 and counting votes of support, but it got 87,000 people who voted against the measure. Now, I'm skeptical. Why am I skeptical? Because of the fact that things just don't make sense. And you can't tell me or convince me that a people who bother with voting would vote against people paying their bills. That was the linchpin of Proposition I. It said that San Francisco would take a stand to where we would uh, stand against sports owners who try and walk out on their debt. That came from the fact that the Golden State Warriors, in their move to San Francisco, are suing Oakland to avoid paying $40 million in debt. Well, I just can't believe that educated people would support billionaires stiffing communities. And so I deflated, but I'm not defeated. And what I mean by that is, sure, it took a little old air out my balloon, but the fact that I see something in this, hey, a setback is really a step forward for those who are determined. That's me. I'm determined. I'm determined to get a situation to where we right a wrong. And the Golden State Warriors arena in San Francisco is the wrong. Now, of course, some people could say, well, you're just a bitter, sore loser. Well, you might think that way when I come up and tell you of my analysis and why we lost. I'm tempted, with God's permission, I'll do it, but I'm tempted to send out something written for all the world to see on what I think happened. Now, I claim white power, white politics, and white privilege defeated Proposition I. When I think of the white power, well, 99.9% of owners of professional sports in America, who owns them? White people. And so these owners have historically used communities and politicians to get whatever. They've included blackmail when they couldn't get politicians to go along with their program, and the result, they take their big toys elsewhere. And no one has found a solution for this. I believe the solution is what I attempted to do. But the fact of the matter is white power, billionaires, spoiled brats, used to getting their way, is one of the things that caused the Golden State Warriors to move to San Francisco. Now, then there's the white politics. If you recall, I mentioned on this program some time ago that then Supervisor Mark Farrell had sold out the black community for just to please the San Francisco 49ers. Well, here's the situation. The San Francisco 49ers took a $1.3 billion project out of a black neighborhood in San Francisco. And they had the nerve enough to ask San Francisco for a cut on their last year's lease of $5 billion. And Mark, under the lead of Mark Farrell, supervisor, then, now mayor, he got them to chop off $4 million for a $1 million upfront fee. Now, why in the world would a politician give a business a break on a $5 million rent when they took a $1.3 billion project out of the city? Just to please the owners of this business is my answer. Now, people said, well, they promised that they were going to help a bid to bring the 49ers here in San Francisco. I mean, the Super Bowl here in San Francisco would be the host city for that Super Bowl. Well, I don't know. I wasn't born yesterday. If the Super Bowl was going to be played here, San Francisco was going to be the host city by default. So why are you cutting a deal when San Francisco was going to win anyway? And that's the way things roll. Now, people tend to know that politicians, hey, they can promise voters anything. Do they come through with it on their promises? Yeah, rarely. And so the politician is in a win-win situation. If he pleases the business after he's out of office, hey, the CEO of the business, hey, I remember that favor you did for me. And boom, more business for the politician or former politician. But getting into office, he can promise the moon and not deliver, and still, just because he's charming or she, reelected time and time again. Broken promises stacked up, they still get reelected. So, white politics. Because white people are pretty, you have to admit, white people are pretty good at playing that game here in America. Then there's white privilege. Now, this is going to be really interesting. Where I say white privilege doomed my project is because when the Golden State Warriors were purchased in the year 2010 for $450 million, the population in San Francisco was 805,000. Today, 884,000 people are here. So who are all these new people? Now, you could argue that a lot of Asians are here. They're the second largest population. But I say based on my being here for as long as I have, most of the influx of new San Franciscans are white people. And they are white people who have no history of San Francisco. Therefore, if they have no history of San Francisco or the surrounding areas, and they just want to better things for themselves, and a ballot measure suggesting that San Francisco not invite sports teams to come here that are successful in other areas, they said, well, wait a minute. We like the Warriors coming here. We don't care about all that other stuff. We don't care about the depressed area of Oakland where they've been for 47 years and taking from that depressed area, making it more depressed. That's not our concern. And so when they see that on the ballot and the arguments and businesses here in San Francisco wanting the Warriors to come here, hey, I get that. However, there's a danger. Now, people, the New York Times called me, and the reporter said she was surprised that the ballot measure lost. And she was doing a story on another subject. But the ballot measure played into her subject. So she interviewed me for a few minutes and got my take. Her story, which came out yesterday, Friday, the 8th, was titled, Why Cities Poach from One Another, or Why Can't They Stop Poaching from One Another? And she got some professors from University of Texas or somewhere to weigh in on the issue, and there were studies done that backed up what I had said earlier in this program about voters. They're gullible. They'll go along and you tell them, oh, we can get you 100,000 jobs. They'll vote for you, even though there's proof that they don't know nothing. They don't even know how to spell the word job. So you have this article that lays out the issue and basically saying why. What I pointed out to the reporter was, and she used it as the last point of her article, was we didn't like it when Santa Clara took the 49ers from San Francisco. So why are we going to go and do it to Oakland, do the same to Oakland? So the point that I'm saying here is you really have to feel privileged or just flat out selfish, thinking of only yourself to have voted no on Proposition I. Now, I will say that some who did not support, I read some comments on the internet, some very encouraging and some, shall I say, we all have our opinion. But one person said responded to something that I wrote on the internet, on one of the articles about the San Francisco election, that the reason it lost was nobody supported it. Well, I responded that I got 65,000 votes. So how can you say nobody supported it? And then another one said it was a frivolous ballot measure. Well, since when is it frivolous to encourage people to pay their debts? And since when is it frivolous not to steal from your neighbor? That's what the proposition was all about. And so you can argue on whether San Francisco was stealing or not, but the politics behind how they actually got here leads me to believe it's the appropriate word. Now, for me to say white power, white politics, and white privilege doing my ballot measure, I need to add a little something. When the home that I was raised in, been in the family 40 years, we finally were no longer the owners. Next door, there was a Hispanic lady who she owned that house for 30 and still does. Well, my brother was talking to me once and he said that he ran into her, and as much as we gave her fits as neighbors just because of the loud parties or whatever that my brothers were doing, I wasn't the party type. But she said she missed us because the white family that moved in, they'd been there 9 years and they have never spoken one word to her. How can you do that? I think they moved from Denver or something like that, bought the home that I was raised in, moved in, and for all that time, they can't even say hi to their next door neighbor. Now, what kind of a spirit is that? That is the spirit that's moving into San Francisco. And I think that San Franciscans better wake up and realize that, sure, these people are moving in, and God bless them that they want a part of what we know to be a beautiful place. But they're going to ruin it. I have another story for you. One of the stories that I've told before was about a transgender, a white woman, who got into a fight with a black man. And how this happened was the white transgender was walking up the street and bumped into the black man and his girlfriend. And as they passed, they didn't even say sorry. So the black man says, man, people don't even say sorry anymore. And the white transgender turned around and called him a nigger and said, get out of my city. Then I read the article a little bit further where I get this story. And the white transgender was from somewhere else, Virginia or somewhere back east. How can people have that type of a spirit? San Francisco has been so opening to people who are different. But once people from other places come here, they bring some of the ugliest attitudes. And by bringing some of this ugly attitude, it's going to fit in right in with the ugly politics that are in San Francisco, City Hall. And I have to admit it, though I'm not going anywhere soon, San Francisco is not a place for me. I cannot live in San Francisco if this is what San Francisco is turning into. Now, I want to leave on my own terms. I don't want to leave with people pushing me out. Therefore, I have some work to do here. And who knows how long that'll work. I'm asking God for direction. I believe that this ballot measure was the will of God. And the fact that it went down to defeat opened my eyes just a little bit more. If I had won, sure, I'd have been running around bragging and doing all of this, you know. But I'm saying that I learned a lesson. And I thank God for the lesson. And because I was deflated, it's probably I gave San Francisco way too much credit. But I'm not defeated. And I'm not defeated because the fact of the matter is there's a message here. And I need to tell the message. I need to tell the message because I want San Francisco to continue to be the world-class city that I think it is. But it's being tarnished. It's being tarnished by owners of the Golden State Warriors and the spirit that is in newcomers who come to San Francisco and just think, hey, they want to change everything to make it their own. Now, I add this extra story here to really hit home on some of the people who come here. There's a man, I'll leave his name off, but he was running for Board of Supervisors this year. And he's from somewhere else. He's got money. And he put hundreds of thousands of dollars into trying to change a well-established law in San Francisco to where it would make it easier for him to become a member of the San Francisco Board of Supervisors in his election bid. Well, wait a minute. You mean to tell me you want to be a member of San Francisco city government, but you want to change the rules to make it easier for you? This is a white man. We can't have this and expect San Francisco to be a world-class city. And I'm saying that San Francisco, you better wake up. Because if you're going to preserve any of the beauty of San Francisco, and I say it's the spirit, then we have to let everybody know we're not down with this. We are not down with stealing from our neighbors. We are not down with telling people, well, come on over here. You ain't got to pay that bill over there in Oakland. Walking up and down the street, bump people, don't say hi, and don't say sorry, and when they challenge you on it, turn around, call them names, tell them to get out of your city, and you just got here, not saying hi to your next door neighbor for 9 years. Boy, that's rough. These are true stories. I'm not making this stuff up. I'm saying, San Francisco, wake up. Wake up, because the next person who's going to put forth a lot of money and effort into making San Francisco a better place should not have to be pushed back and rejected by all of San Francisco when it comes down to the fact that voter apathy for longtime people who've been here has risen, and at the same time, newcomers come in and they know the game and they register to vote. And then they get their way. And then things change. And then people who've been here a while start to complain because things have changed to where you can't recognize San Francisco anymore. And I'm saying that, hey, we have ourselves to blame if we just take it for granted that we live in one of the most beautiful places on earth. And might I add, it's a shame to see that so many people are turned off by politics in a country that has so much freedom. Yes, you're free to turn off politics, but that's one of the most dangerous things you can do for freedom or to freedom. I have this saying: apathy is the greatest sin committed against democracy. Because if you don't care, then watch out. You will not recognize in less than a generation what you call as home, San Francisco. Sure, there's an awful lot of people who should come in, do whatever to make it their own. I do not blame people who come from wherever and register to vote day one and be a part of what's going on here politically. I support that. However, I have to say that we who have been here for a long time, we're slipping up. Because we see these new people in here and we don't do anything about it. We just let them go on because we're too lazy to go vote or uninterested for whatever reason. And then they got all the cards. And believe me, you ain't gonna like the hand that they deal you, because voting is the solution to a lot of this stuff that's going on. And I definitely, if I had it to do all over again, I would do the exact same thing. And of course, I have a few bills to pay, so I am going to do that. But don't be surprised if you see me with another ballot measure on this issue or another issue, because I believe in voting. And I know I'm going to need those newcomers to support my measure in the future. So how am I going to do it? Well, first of all, I'm going to let them know I've been here a while, and I'd love to tell you the history that I know of San Francisco. And I hope that you reach out to your neighbors and longtime neighbors and get to know about San Francisco to preserve its beauty, not change it into some ugly, unrecognized city. That's what happened in this particular election. San Francisco is turning into an unrecognized city. And that mayor's race, which is still undecided, we'll talk about that. God bless.